just look around. You got the mountains, you got the most beautiful city in the whole entire country. The university is absolutely, looks like it's out of a storybook. It's just beautiful. People are incredibly genuine and extremely nice. It's just a place that obviously I'd want my kids to go to school. And it sells itself. You don't have to sell anything about this place. You just got to get them here. You know, the old field of dreams. Yeah. Build it and they will come. It's already built.
Doesn't have to be perfect, ain't gonna be perfect. We go compete for 60 freaking minutes. All right, enjoy the opportunity, enjoy the environment, and then go play our butts off, play for one another, and have a hell of a lot of fun. Everybody got me?
Yes,
all right.
Who got my back? I got your back. Who got my back? I got your back. Who got my back? I got your back. We play for another. We fight for another. Every fight, every play, every round. Hey, Tennessee on 2. 1, 2. Tennessee. Ball, that team ready. Ball, that team ready. Ball, that team ready.
Make the decision. You're either a Vol or you're not, through thick and thin.
Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Dauber's in the house. Good old Nate Pruitt is here. Coach Jay is in the house as well. Boys, there seems to be a common theme this season, and it is survive, win, advance, and figure it out next week. And you look around the SEC, you look around the country. We were talking about it in the tailgate show before the game. Look at all the teams that are losing around the country. Georgia loses to Ole Miss. Miami falls to Georgia Tech. Alabama is beating the brakes off of LSU right now, who is now going to have 3 losses on the season. Texas and Tennessee, they're the only 2 SEC teams left with only 1 loss. I know Texas A&M only has 1 conference loss, but you're 8-1, and you got everything in front of you. You're likely in the top 5 heading into next week. But, boys, this team, they find a way week in and week out to add to my blood pressure and take years off of my life. Stevie J coming in, man of his word, drops a $100 super chat. Stevie J said week 1, he said, Boogie, I'm dropping a $100 super chat after every dub. He does it again.
Money isn't everything. It's the only thing. And everyone has a price for the $1 million man.
Stevie J says another win, another step closer. Go Vols. That's right. We are another step closer, but we got to open up the show, man. We got to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is Nico Iamaleava. Comes out in the second half. I'm going, where in the world? Why is Gaston Moore on the field? I can't figure out what's going on. The broadcast team doesn't know what's going on. The fact that they didn't let him come back on the field, is that concussion? Dauber, thoughts on Nico, and where do we go from here?
Yeah, I mean, it's, every it's not backseat driver, but backseat doctor on Twitter is, everything from a hangnail to a collarbone to ribs to, we don't know. We don't know and here's the thing that sucks about it. He was rolling. He was kind of starting to click, dropping some dimes. We talked about Wednesday. This is the type of game you need good momentum going to Athens, especially with what happened to Georgia today. But yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to tell. Certainly on the replay and the replays I've seen on Twitter, yeah, he took a shot on that one particular play that everybody seems to be labeling the one that cost him an injury. But he came back out and played a couple plays after. So is it precautionary? For him to not come back out of the locker room, I imagine he's receiving some treatments or something in hopes that he's healed up and ready to go next week. But I don't expect much from Heupel in his post game, and who knows with the injury reports that we'll see this week, as they've been kind of laughable. But I mean, you hope all the best. Gaston came in and was serviceable. DSamp though, I think that's the heart and soul of this team right now. So,
Coach Jay, what are your thoughts on the fact that, by the way, you're muted? Let me warn you. I know. I think it might be a bit at this point. I think Coach Jay might just be like, I'm just going to sit on mute. What are your thoughts about him not coming back out in the second half? Even I get it. If you're doing MRIs, you're doing whatever, you would still think your quarterback is going to come back out at some point in the second half and support the team.
That depends, Boogie. That depends on the nature of the injury and what treatment can be done in that moment to help immediately after said injury. There could be treatment that they felt like, okay, we don't want to push it. We feel like there's going to be swelling, and if we get that swelling down and ahead of it early, he can play against Georgia. So I wouldn't necessarily say that. And look, we all saw last week Nico out there pushing DSamp, right, to get the touchdown. We all know how much this team fights for each other out there, right? And if Nico could have been out there, he would have. I have to believe that Nico was better served being where he was and helping the team more, receiving treatment in that moment than he was coming back out to root them on.
And I am in no way questioning Nico not coming out.
No, I know that. I know that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
I got you. I do also want to say, before we get too far here, and I realize Mississippi State's not the best team, but I would be remiss if I didn't say, when you got a quarterback who finally had put it to I want to say starting, I thought he had put it together over the last, 8 quarters? Because he went out at the end of the second half. So the last 8 quarters, he'd put it together. So when he went out, that can be really deflating for a team. I think we saw that for a second. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say that this team did rally together. This team fought hard for each other in the second half of that game and found a way to get the job done despite the adversity. And it deserves a tip of the cap for them doing so, I believe.
Nate, kind of just give your thoughts on the injury and then where we go from here. I don't even know if we should speculate where we go from here without Nico. At this point, it really probably doesn't matter. But I didn't think Gaston Moore looked bad. I thought he made some nice throws. I think he would have had a touchdown if not for pass interference. But Gaston Moore's not Nico. But just your thoughts on the entire situation.
Yeah, like you said, Gaston Moore's not Nico. And we have a problem as Tennessee fans where we like to hold people to certain standards. And but all in all, he was 6'9", 43 yards, average of 4.8 yards. And that was for Gaston. I think he played pretty good. Now, as far as the injury goes, I kind of lean towards Coach Jay. Maybe it was precautionary. It was things to be able to get him ready for Nico ready for Georgia. I didn't see anything that would lead me to believe that he was seriously injured. But I'm not the doctor, like Dauber said earlier. I'm just over here backseat doctoring. So I don't see anything that would make me say that he was definitely injured, and I do believe it was precautionary that he's just getting ready for them to be able to play, because it's a tough game. Not to put anything away from Mississippi State, but Georgia's the bigger fish, and we just got to get ready for that. As far as going forward, no matter who is leading right now, I believe this team, like Coach Jay said, is fighting together, and they're learning how to win together, and they're learning how to push for each other. And whoever's at the helm, I mean, yeah, we want it to be Nico, but Gaston played good tonight. I mean, he did great. So if it's Gaston next week, let's get behind it. And man, I believe we can still go get a W on that one.
Yeah, and let me just say it too, and I've said it on this channel before, and I'll say it again because it's worth saying, especially for me. Yeah, there's a relationship there. There's a coaching tree relationship with Nico. But listen, I fell in love with this Tennessee team at a young age. I love Tennessee football. I am 1,000,000% behind Gaston Moore if he's going to be the guy going forward. I'm behind whoever the right guy is for us to win. If Nico's too hurt and we need to get behind Gaston for a game or two, that's what we're going to do. Gosh dang it. It's all Vols or nothing. So no matter what, we're going to support him. I was nervous when Gaston came in. Part of me was like, oh yeah, well maybe people will, what is that kind of bitterness that every human being has, that, oh, maybe people will appreciate Nico more and seeing how Gaston operates or not. I stopped myself and I was like, don't you dare, Coach Jay. Don't you dare think like that. Pick yourself up off the ground like this team had to. Get behind your team and root them on and root for them hard and be behind them 100%.
Let me catch up with you guys, dropping a lot of super chats, see what your thoughts are. Jartavius X becomes a member of the channel. We appreciate that support, my friend. If you're not a member, think about hitting that join button. It's just $1. That's it. $1 a month, and it keeps the lights on around here, so we're grateful for that. Evan Counts for 5 says, I see what's going on here. Coach Josh Heupel is playing chess. Kirby got to think hard for the test of the week. Now, I don't I like the tinfoil hat conspiracies. John Watts for 5 says, Dorothy. We appreciate that, John. Jay Carter drops a 20 spot, says, that's a dub. GBO, Boogie got me scared when I got on live, said 45+ minutes. Bro, I got to sleep. I said that because it's like if you don't go live in time on Facebook, it shuts the stream down. So I usually set it pretty far ahead. That way we've got window in there depending on how long the game goes. But thank you, Jay Carter, for the super chat. Tathula has been a member for 15 months. Please God, Nico be okay. Joey Carroll, let's go Vols. Great win down here in the snake room, feeding the animals. Big Papa for 20. That ain't cheap. We appreciate that. Next week will be the biggest game for Tennessee and Georgia. Tennessee wins, they will be in the SEC championship. If Georgia loses, they are out. But a loss for Tennessee will not put them out of anything. I don't know. I think you got to win that game. Win. Don't. We've been saying this all week long. Don't leave it in the hands of the judges. Go beat Georgia. Yes. Take care of business, and don't let us have to sit here and say, well, we deserve to be in. We should be in. Look what they did. They screwed us again. Just go win, and then there's nothing they can do about it. Rodney becomes a member of the channel. Thank you, Rodney Stafford. We appreciate it. Louisiana Ball says defense got to get better against the run. That's 2 weeks in a row now. Georgia has some good backs. Praying for Nico and Dante. Hope it's not serious. J Ball for 5. Great win. Team doesn't give up. Why at the end of the half did Tennessee not throw it to Thornton with one-on-one coverage in the end zone? It's just run. David for 2. Can Moore beat Georgia? Yes. I'm going to say yes. Nate gave me a little pep talk. I'm saying yes. Chris says go Vols. Another win for the books. Wasn't perfect. Wasn't going to be perfect, but we won. Hope Nico's okay. And we go beat the Puppy Dogs. Dylan says Gaston Moore knows one play call. Somebody's open down there somewhere. Throw it up. Yeah, I kind of like that. I kind of wish Nico would do that sometimes. Throw it up and let your guys go make plays. One thing I didn't like, he had Miles Kitselman wide open over the middle of the field, and he threw one of those deep balls. But I'm not mad at it, man. Let your players go make plays. Michael Davis for 5 says, good win. How about Gilbert coming back in a big way? I really hope Nico and Thornton injuries aren't serious. It's Rome, baby. For 2 says, we held them to 92 total yards passing. That is tough. Caleb says, GBO 8-1. Clay drops a 20 spot. Nothing to say, just a tip in the tip jar. I don't always do this on post games, but we'll play the clip.
Rocky Top!
All right. Appreciate the super chat, Clay. Keep those coming in. We'll get your thoughts throughout the course of the night. We try to break it up, talk a little bit, get your thoughts, come back, talk a little bit, get your thoughts. So we're going to start with opening comments on the game. I want to say this about the defense, because the last 2 weeks they gave up some chunk plays. Now, chunk play by definition, is that 30 yards? Is it 25 yards? Whatever you want to call it. They gave up a lot of yards on the ground tonight. But like it's Rome Baby just said, they played really good against the pass. And then the thing that sticks out to me, your leader, your quarterback, your guy goes down. You come out at halftime with the backup quarterback. This is what the drive charts look like for the second half. 6 plays, 53 yards, fumble. 4 plays, 65 yards, touchdown. 5 plays, 8 yards, punt. 5 plays, 3 yards, punt. I don't remember how many plays on the last drive. I think, 4. They went 4 plays, 3 yards, turnover on downs. So when push comes to shove, and by the way, let me plug the game day breakdown. Coach Jay, Coach Rice do a great job at that. Last week, he said Kentucky was going to play soft. Nico had to take what they gave him. That's what he did all game. He said, guys, Mississippi State is going to gain yards between the 20s. We can't panic. We can't freak out. We just got to dig in and get stops. And guess what? This defense still hasn't given up 20 points, and we're 9 games into the season. Dauber, opening thoughts on the win over Mississippi State. Remember, opening thoughts, not 12-minute thoughts.
I got you. We talk about good teams finding a way to win. This is a good team. You know, like you said, we're 9 games in, and we're sitting at 8-1 with a whole hell of a lot still to play for. So we have, you know, crossed that threshold, and I think this is a good football team. They've got a lot of ways to go to be a great football team. It starts, you know, next Saturday in Athens. That's a big step. When's the last time we beat the Big Three in the same year?
When is the last year? 98? Like, is that it? I don't know.
You know, it probably is. But, you know, overall, offense started off, you know, kind of clicking, rolling. Nico looked good throwing some dimes. Defense, it's that bend but don't break. But, you know, some big plays. Boo coming up. You know, I love these young guys and the flashes that we're seeing. And that makes you excited for the future. But like I said, it's all in all, you find a way to grind it out and get that W, and you're moving on. You know, we hope we get some positive, good news moving forward, you know, first of this week with Nico and the other guys that are banged up. Good to see Samson come back in after he got banged up. I'm going to go ahead right now and say if Dylan Sampson does not start getting some more buzz nationally for what he's doing right now, for how he is carrying this team, man, that's a shame because
I did like that the broadcast team mentioned it tonight. I do like that they brought that up.
He has been a workhorse, and man, you love seeing that because that's another one of those quality kids that we have right now. So, Nate, what are your thoughts?
Oh man, I'm going to stay positive. I'm not going to be the negative Tom on it. No,
hey, we'll get negative in a minute. Don't you worry.
No, there's a lot of good things. The Carter brothers, I'm going to start calling them. Man, they were laying on some good hits. And Charles, he was hitting on some good ones, I believe is what it was. Secondary, they were doing great. Defensive line, not so much. They did good on a lot of times, but there's been, I was trying to be so positive in the chat, but I kept on putting middle. Can we just push the middle? And we were getting pretty tore up on a lot of those things, but that's just good coaching. That's the good and bad of everything we do. All in all, man, we went in and we played a good game with what we had. And I just believe that better things are coming. So that's opening thoughts for that is, man, we're going to keep on. We're getting better this week. We're going to get better next week. We're going to go beat Georgia.
Yeah. Look, hopefully Nico's okay. A couple other scary moments, as you mentioned, Samson, Sprague, his knee early. That was
Yes.
concerning too. I was worried about it. Boo Carter, I was challenging him all week after what I thought was a subpar game. Really, one of his only subpar games in Tennessee Orange last week, in my opinion. Kid was a beast tonight. Great in open space on the defense side of the ball. Little scary sometimes fielding some of those punts, but also a nice, really good punt return. You know, everyone was so frustrated at this offense of Mississippi State spreading us out so that they could run right at us. And it just seemed like at times there needed to be hot calls from the linebackers calling for pinches and getting away from the twist and stunts. We were running twist and stunts all day. For those of y'all who aren't familiar, twist and stunts are loops, or where you're looping into separate gaps or twisting around each other. And when you're already light in a box, when you already got only 4 people in a box, and you're switching gaps like that and the team's running right at you, it's hard to stop. But it begs the question, was Banks okay surrendering that? Is that why? Was he like, hey, look, as long as Jeff Levy's team's only throwing for 98 yards, I'm okay with it? As a D coordinator, sometimes we make those decisions. It personally ticked me off. But sometimes as a D coordinator, people make those decisions. How about Max Gilbert? What a game out of our field goal kicker after people booing him last week. Y'all get behind our players. What did Tony Vitello say? Make a choice, through thick or thin, guys. Let's get behind our team. Jalen McMurray, I thought, played a great game. Peyton Lewis, I know he had that tough early short yardage, but man, he was out there laying licks. Coach said precautionary. Nico should be good to go for next week. I hope that's right, Chris. Maybe he could drop it in the chat if that was in the post-game interview. But I hope that's true. One thing I will say
Here's a $20 super chat also confirming it. Seth P for 20 says Coach Hype just said it post game. Nico was precautionary, should be good for next week. So that's encouraging. That's good news. The rumors the rumors are rumors, man. If somebody posts in a Facebook group and says Nico had a seat, that is nothing but nonsense, and it does no good for anybody in this fan base, in this football program. Yep. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. So drop it. All we can go by is what we know is fact, and that's nothing at this point. But it is good to hear that Coach Hype said post-game precautionary. So we'll see. We'll see what happens where we go from here.
Rucker just tweeted it. So
okay, yeah. I will say this about the Nico injury, too. I went back during every single almost commercial that was there and not only watched the hit, but I watched the series where he came back in right before the half. Yeah. And he was wincing. He was definitely in pain. But I've said it on this channel kit before. The kid had a compound fracture in his hand in a high school game and finished. Nico's a tough kid. I was just worried that, hey, if he was fighting through it, maybe it's something that they took a quick x-ray or something and saw, and something was no bueno, and that's what scared me. So the fact that it was precautionary, if that's what Coach is saying, and if Coach Heupel is to be believed, which is another topic, I suppose, altogether. But for the sake of me not rambling on for 10 pages of notes, I guess that's my opening thoughts.
Let me I was going to ask you to expand more on the defense, but you kind of touched on that, what was going on.
We can get into it in length as we go on here.
Yeah, I just, again, I get the frustration because I'm like Nate, I'm yelling, I'm like, I could run through that hole. Like me and my 6'8" 40, I can get through that hole and probably pick up a few yards. It's like, come on, man, what's going on here? But again, at the end of the day, you're 8-1. I think some people are so frustrated, like good old JP, love his heart, starts texting me at halftime, yelling about play calling, how awful we are. We're going to lose to Georgia. I said, JP, this team's 7-1. They're about to be 8-1, and they're going to be ranked in the top 5. And you're not happy. Like you're not enjoying anything about this. Like nothing.
Yeah. I will say this though, really quick. I love everyone's praying for Nico, but you might want to pray for this defensive line come Monday morning because
Coach G.
Rodney
man.
Gardner might have something to say to that defensive line come Monday. They might be.
I heard he rode him pretty hard this week after the Kentucky game. So
yeah, and I heard
better
he had
bring an
some
extra
choice
Gatorade
comments
practice,
on the
boys.
sideline. Yeah, better get the what's it called, the little hydration packs going.
Liquid IV.
Liquid IV.
Liquid IV. Yeah, Rodney Gardner might have a little fire come Monday morning. We'll say that.
Let me catch back up at the chat. Dim Barnyard builds for two says, Coach Jay, what's going on with the defensive scheme and linebackers on runs? I think that came in a little late. He just answered that earlier. Roy Gibson for 10. Peyton Lewis is going to be a weapon in the future, and Boo Carter was a beast tonight. Yeah, Peyton Lewis, 14 carries, 44 yards. Not that great yards per carry, but he is physical. He's big, he's strong, he's quick, and he's young, man. I'm excited about his future, but Boo Carter returning punts. I know Coach Jay mentioned it. Ended up with 6 punt returns for 56 yards, had a long of 28. That's changing field position, man. That is like that's something that we talked about in the preseason, right? Is Boo Carter going to return punts? And he never really got that opportunity. Now he's getting that opportunity, and you can see just how dangerous he is. Occasional Panda becomes a member of the channel. We appreciate that support. Mad Mopar Motorsports for 5. Call me crazy, but Gaston stretches the field and opens up running lanes better than Nico.
Crazy.
Ball
Ball
girl for 2. Some called Boo getting a pick. Was that you, Jenny? I remember somebody saying it, but then I couldn't remember who called it. So shout out to Jenny for calling that pick. Peyton K for 10. Just win, baby. GBO. That's right. Enjoy it. 8-1. Enjoy it. Cody Copeland for 10. Love seeing my fellow high school alma mater Boo Carter go off this game. He's going to be special. Prayers for Nico. GBO. Joshua Wall for 5 says Dorothy. Thank you for that tip. We appreciate it. Checkerboard overalls for 20. Burgers on me, Boogie. I started to say I hope those burgers were good. Says burgers on me. A dub is a dub. Got to get healthy and get ready for a street fight in Athens. We control our own destiny. Samson, please no more red zone fumbles. Yeah, you got to clean. I mean, that is just not who he is, but now it's becoming who he is. This is 3 straight games turning the football over. And it's frustrating, man. It's maddening. A couple of things there. Like first this team continues to find ways to shoot themselves in the foot. I do like that they punched one in the end zone. You know, we talked about starting fast because the last 3 weeks, the Nico fumble, Samson fumble, we had a missed field goal. Your defense goes out there and forces a 3-and-out to start the game. And then after a shank punt, you got a short field, and what do? You feed Dylan Sampson. You miss Brew Deep, and that's okay. Like, I wasn't panicking there. I'm like, it was a different miss. It's like, all right, I felt like Nico had his groove. I was not worried about that miss at all. You get Lance Hurd called for assisting the runner, which by rule, it was illegal. They never call that, so it was comical that got called. But you fought through that adversity, right? You fought through missing the deep ball. You fought through that penalty. You go for it on 4th and 6. Nico hit Squirrel White for a touchdown. But you got to clean up that fumbles. Checkerboard overall spot on. Nate, what do you think about the Georgia game? He says it's going to be a street fight. Are you more concerned or less concerned that Georgia's coming off a loss and they have got to win? They lose to Tennessee, likely out of the college football playoff.
I wouldn't. Before I was said that I was less concerned. I wanted them to lose, but they are going to have that fight, and their stadium is going to be a little rambunctious, and they're going to be ready. They know what the price is. But on the flip side of that coin, we know what the price is, and we know that we got to go in there. We got to take care of business. There is no warm up. There's no anything. We have to take care of business from the time that clock strikes 1 until the time it hits zeros. We gotta do it. And go ahead, buddy.
I was just gonna say I'll flip it the other way and say, you know, you're gonna face one of 2 Georgia teams Saturday. It's going to be an angry, pissed off Georgia team because you're looking at what's their record been the last 2 years. You're looking at a team that's not had to deal with adversity, a team that's not been, you know, pressed against the wall, or you're going to get a broken team because they've not been dealt those losses. They've not had to battle, and they might just pack it up and you know. Georgia this year has not been the Georgia of the last couple of years. You've seen that from early in the season. You know, Kentucky pushed them around. They've had tough games week in and week out. Beck is not, he's struggling with this offense. He's turning the ball over, not protecting the ball. Georgia's still got a good defense, but I take our defense to war over them. And that's the thing. It's going to come down to offensively, who limits mistakes, who limits shooting themselves in the foot, and it's going to be tough. But that's the reality of it. I think it's either we're going to get a fired up, ready Georgia team, or because they've not been in this situation, pretty much that whole team they've just dealt with success and winning, and everybody here knows we're talking about young men who are in college, and sometimes it just doesn't make sense how these things go. So, I hope it's a great ball game, and I hope we come out on top. But it's going to be hard fought.
It's going to be a fight.
Yeah. But you have to expect that. It's a huge rivalry game on the road in the SEC, and Georgia's had our number. Let's just put it that way, right? Look, their quarterback started off the season as a Heisman candidate, much better odds than Nico, and I think all of us would agree. Probably the Georgia fans, if they were in the chat too, would agree that a healthy Nico is a better quarterback, even with some of the issues he's had as a freshman, which is what I've kind of been trying to say from the beginning, y'all, is, if Nico were a redshirt junior, I'd be worried about some of this stuff a lot more. He's been figuring out just fine. Boogie brought up, being able to overcome the early missed deep pass of putting a nice one on Squirrel on 4th down. I think Nico's been great on those late 3rd and 6, 4th downs. I'll tell you what, and I'd love to hear Coach Rice's opinion on this come tomorrow night. But I hated the design on the play before that designed fake quarterback draw play that Nico ran that didn't go for anywhere early before they got the offsides that went for yards. It's like, I want design quarterback runs, but I just did not like the design of that play. But as far as Georgia goes, it's going to be a tough fight. Their defense is going to be fighting for their life. Their offense is going to be fighting for their life as far as their O-line goes and their running backs. Their quarterback is truly struggling, guys. Tennessee can't do him any favors and allow Georgia to have the running game that Kentucky and Mississippi State have had. They have to dare Beck to beat them, in my opinion.
11 interceptions on the season. How many did you say he had thrown in the last 3 weeks? It's a ton in the last 3 weeks.
It was like 6.
Yeah. So let me continue to catch up with you guys. Honest E says, with Georgia's offense, play our defense can strangle them. Chandler Matthews drops a 50. That ain't cheap. We'll play the clip.
Money isn't everything. It's the only thing. And everyone has a price for the $1 million man.
By the way, you guys like the new window for chats. StreamYard changed it. I didn't even know it happened until somebody brought it up. But look at that. Look at that profile picture. Chandler smoking that big cigar, celebrating a win over Alabama. I love it. Preston did not, Peyton, I think he means, did not take us to the promised land. T. Martin did. Let Gas and run with the ones, get some confidence, get ready to beat the dogs. GBO 8-1. I'll have all the confidence in the world in Gaston Moore if he trots out there. But the news from Heupel is encouraging. What'll be interesting is to see what you hear coming out of practice. Josh Heupel's not going to tell us who's starting. I would say Nico's going to be listed as questionable, but you'll have an idea coming from like VolQuest, 247, those type of places. We'll likely have an idea. MG Wave 2 linebackers are getting picked on more and more. The edge dude for 5, guess we showed Kirby Smart where to run. Overall happy with winning. Old Smokey's been a member for 2 years. Appreciate that. Sean for 20, we are freaking good. Nothing but pride on the line. Next week, Nico is fine. I hope you're right, Sean. I hope you are right. Dave for 2 says, did Cam Seldon burn his red shirt tonight? Yes, he did. And I thought that was interesting because it was right when Dylan Sampson went down. And at that point I was like, okay, they're trotting Cam Seldon out there burning his red shirt because they know D-Samp's not coming back in. I thought he was done for the night when we saw Cam Seldon. Otherwise, it didn't really make sense to me unless it was unless Boogie's tinfoil hats conspiracies are true. He wants to transfer, and Heibel said, "Oh, you want that red shirt? Okay, watch this. We're gonna need you to go in this series." That's a Boogie tinfoil hat conspiracy. Don't spread that rumor. Blackout Jones 5. Linebackers need to work on being disciplined in their gap assignments. David for 2 says, "How about Boo, stud true freshman? Man, his future is so bright." Redneck Dwarf for 10. Gilbert 4 for 4 and a new best, 51 yards. What lack of confidence in kicking? Tyler for 5 says, "Go Big Orange. Great night. Pray for health. Trip to Athens because Boogie knows ain't no good Georgia fans or football players. God bless. And go Vols." Vols going ball for 2. P. Lou doing his thing and getting to see Seldon. Knoxville Buckeye for 5. I saw in the chat, he said, "Man, my phone screwed up my chat big time. Somebody give Coach Jay a baseball to wrap that brim around. Also, why did we drop so many passes? So many into pass diversion, not attack the box. Into pass coverage."
Mm-hmm. It felt like a choice to me because it's not like Banks wasn't seeing it. You know, a blind person can see it. Like it was right in front of you. Everyone saw it. They were spreading you out to run right at you. It just felt like a choice
to keep the game in front of them.
Yeah.
And guess what? It worked.
Yeah, and it worked. It worked, but frustrating to watch. I get it. God. And once again, I get it. So with the D-line, when I was talking about them like stunning and twisting and doing all this exotic stuff, we call that passive pressure, right? That's a way where you can get extra pressure without bringing extra blitzers. I just didn't think it was needed because it can hurt you against certain run schemes, and we saw that. The linebacker comments, yeah, there were times where some of them were out of position. Are they being attacked more? Sure, they're young. They're one of our younger positions. I would attack them too. I thought Arian Carter was really good at times tonight. Was he perfect? No, he had mistakes. But I thought there were stretches where he was elite tonight. And did someone punch T-Lander? Did you guys see that? Did that guy punch T-Lander on that out of bounds?
With the offsetting penalties.
Yeah. I thought someone wound up.
Dude, one of their coaches was going after players. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, you're a grown man. Like, go get your guys. Like, I'm fine with that. Get your guys, get them off the field. You ain't got no business getting in our guys, like in our players' face. Get your butt back over on the sideline. Get back over on the sideline. This is hilarious because this shout out Coach Rice. He is Vols JP made over. He is just JP. He cannot function. He cannot function.
Love you to death.
We're done. We're done. We're losing. D-line sucks. Nico sucks. Or Nico's hurt. Gaston sucks. Well, it'll be all right, Coach Rice. It'll be all right because guess what? I heard that we were going to lose to Florida. I heard that we were going to lose to Alabama. I heard that we were going to lose to Kentucky. I also heard that we were going to lose to Mississippi State. Now I'm hearing that we're going to lose to Georgia. The funniest thing was MG Way put it in the chat earlier. If Nico's hurt, we're going to lose to Georgia and Vanderbilt both. Man, y'all just keep – the goalposts are gone. I can't even find them. They're in a different city. I don't even know where the goalposts are at anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that without Nico, I think those are much, much more challenging tests.
Of course.
I don't think anyone is saying that. I wouldn't say impossible, though. You know what I mean? And
right.
I don't know that we'd get blown out the way their offense is playing with Georgia. Maybe if our offense couldn't move the ball that badly and the defense got hung out to dry, then yeah, maybe I could see it. I guess anything's possible, but I get your trepidation, Coach Rice. It's concerning whenever you got to go to a backup quarterback like that.
Impossible to beat Georgia. No, stop. It's not impossible to beat Georgia. Look, with Nico, it's going to be hard to beat Georgia. You're going on the road in the SEC to a hostile environment in a night game. It's going to be tough regardless.
Tinfoil hat theory. You're going to see a couple just straight read options that Nico tucks early and takes for 60-yard touchdowns just because Georgia won't think he's going to be running the ball. And Heupel planned this all along.
Coach Rice's account was hacked. No, it wasn't. You're seeing the true, real Coach Rice we see every game day. I love it. Let's see. Evan Counts for 5 says, why did we leave that huge gap in the middle of the D-line when we had them on the half-yard line? on third down, gashed us for 20 yards. Matthew Watson for 2, so is Selden just the fourth string? I get prop. It's so weird because
3A and B.
Peyton Lewis wasn't getting run until Cam Selden reached his 4 games, which is why Boogie formed this whole narrative that's running wild on the internet that he's redshirting the transfer. That's my opinion. I have no information on that at all. And if he ends up coming back next year, I'm going to look like a real jerk. It's just weird the way the whole thing played out. Dirty Ducky's been a member for 11 months. We appreciate that. Jared Burton for 5 says, Hype just said Nico is precautionary. We'll play next week. Did he say will play or should play or could play? I guess I'll find out
exact wording.
I guess I'll find out on Monday morning after Kane release.
Wording.
That's when I'll find out. David for 2, shout out Max Gilbert. What a turnaround. Brandon Hall drops a 20 spot. That's an Orange Boy. That is a very generous super chat. Says I was really impressed with Gaston Moore and his fearlessness to throw the ball downfield. He isn't Nico for sure, but I am thankful we have a really good backup who didn't leave to start at Who Cares Community College Grace with us. I agree with this 100%. I agree with what Brandon's saying. And even when Gaston Moore was in and they said Nico was hurt, I'm like, most college football teams don't have this. Most of the time you're going to have the guy and you're going to have the future, which would be your Jake Merklinger, right? Or next year your George McIntyre or Faison Brandon or whoever. So Nate, we really are lucky to have a veteran guy that knows the offense, that's been in Hype system. I would guarantee you that Gaston Moore was not rattled when he went out there. He was cool, calm, collected. I thought he looked fine. Was he Nico? No, but he looked fine.
That's what we get. We have so many high expectations we put on so many people, and that's our problem as fans because we want the best for Tennessee. And quite frankly, if we would allow Gaston to just get in there and get comfortable, and there's no telling. We really haven't seen what he can do. I know people are saying he's bad, he's sorry. Well, he just did pretty good tonight. So let's if we have to, let's give him some time.
Yeah, he hadn't been playing. He had a couple bad balls tonight, certainly. As far as the deep passes, he threw what you're supposed to throw because he's a senior that's been in Heupel's offense for a long time. Right. And they pressed our inch technique against our wide receiver out on the edge each time you saw that. And they were playing zero coverage. So they were saying, your backup's in. I dare you to throw deep. You got one guy to beat. When you do that against Josh Heupel's offense, they throw the deep ball 100% of the time. Unless it's just totally missed by the quarterback. No, I think in today's college football, Gaston Moore is great because of all the experience he has in Heupel's offense. I wouldn't call him a great backup, but I would say he's good for that reason. He knows how to run this offense, and when you have a defense as good as ours, you need someone who knows how to run our offense, who can manage a game for our offense in that situation.
I think, Nate rattled off his stats earlier, 6 of 9. I think that's serviceable. He came in and did what we need. Listen, they were very close to cutting it to a one-possession game. I don't know why they didn't go for 2 at that point to cut it to 8.
Yeah, neither did the announcers.
Kicking the PAT. I thought that was just a little wacky. But, you had Gaston come in and with DeSamp, getting rolling late in the game, as he tends to do, and get better in the game. They were able to stretch that lead back out and kind of salt it away. So, that's the thing. He got a little bit of run against Bama. Got some run tonight. So it's better to have him come in and get those jitters and all that stuff out right now if he has to play next week. Like we said, he's been in the offense. He knows the scheme. He knows what we're trying to do. Is his talent level, there with Nico? No. That's why he's the backup. But he's a backup that you want to have, somebody that you are comfortable with putting in there, and you don't have to change a whole lot.
And we do this with Nico, right? How many times with Nico do we say, well, if such and such would have caught the ball, we just did it last week, right? If Thornton catches the ball, if Nimrod catches the ball, if this guy catches the ball, what happens if there's not PI, right? I mean, Brew McCoy's wide open, and Gaston Moore put the ball on the money. That's a touchdown. If that's not interference, it's a touchdown. Like the ball was on the money, and then his numbers all of a sudden look just a little bit different. Again, Nate rattled off his numbers. I'm rolling back up here to it. 6 for 9, 43 yards. Instead, he's what? Probably, I guess, still with 7 of 10, around 100 yards and a touchdown. Like
when you have that, when you have Brazel, when you have Brew McCoy, when you have Thornton, when you have these tall or big wide receivers, there's nothing wrong with putting a little air under the ball and letting them catch it. Nico did the same thing with Deontay Thornton in this game. That wasn't a perfectly led ball. That was kind of something he threw up because he knew he could make the play.
Which people have been telling him to do.
Yeah, which
put some more air on it, and then he does it. And then I see people all over Twitter saying even his touchdown was underthrown. It's like, make up your mind. Make up your mind.
Yeah. But let me play devil's advocate for a little. Gaston Moore looked, I don't know what you want to give him. I'll call it a B- for me tonight. Just a quick shoot from the hip. All right. Could have been better. Could have been worse. Let's just call it a B- for tonight. Do you think he's got a B- game in him on the road in Athens against Georgia's defense?
This is what concerns me about it. I'm going to completely ignore your question for
okay,
because I think what you have to lump in.
I would expect nothing less.
No. I'm answering your question in a different way because I don't necessarily think it's Gaston Moore. I think it's your play calling is going to get extremely conservative, and we saw that tonight. But again, we were in a situation where your defense, even though they struggled, they gave up yards. I get it. I rattled off the drive chart for the second half. Your defense dug in and got stops in the second half. When Nico went out, they said, that's all right. Y'all jump on our back. Defense and DSAMP. Defense and DSAMP. That's a new T-shirt. Defense and DSAMP. That is a new T-shirt.
That's a new T-shirt.
And DSAMP. We're going to carry y'all to victory. I don't care what plays you call, where you tell us to go, what you tell us to do. We're going to carry y'all to victory. And that's exactly what they did. So your playbook was completely closed. So you didn't really ask Gaston Moore to do a whole lot, right? So that's what concerns me is if you're looking at a 4-quarter game against Georgia on the road with Gaston Moore starting, that concerns me because the playbook is going to be small. Now, does he do what he's asked? I think he's got it in him. You gave him a B-. I think Gaston Moore can go down there and play at a B- level. I don't think the play calling or the scheme will necessarily be good enough to go beat Georgia. Look, like I said it in the tailgate show and I said it post-game show. I think if we had Nico going and beating Georgia on the road, it's going to be tough, Nate.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I believe that's a fair assessment, the B-. I really do. But like you said, I believe the play calling is going to be different. And quite honestly, it's not just going to be all on his shoulders for the fact of play calling. They're going to put him in the situation that they feel is best for him to get us the W if he is the one doing it. Now, the thing that worries me the most, and I'm not to change the direction here, but the thing that worries me the most is that we've had 3 games in a row of the fumbles, and one of y'all mentioned the fumbles earlier. And Bob did kind of correct me in the chat there earlier. He said, if anybody that gets hit like that, they put shoulder pad on the ball, 9 times out of 10, you're going to drop that ball. I get that. But if it's consistent, it's happening again
3 weeks in a row.
And again, you got to do something to cover that ball a little bit better. I'm not a running back. I can't tell you how to do that, but I just know that you got to do something a little bit. So they're going to put it in the scheme to where it's not all the pressure that's on Gaston. It's going to be divvied out. But I would say that if Gaston does have the pressure on him, I would like to see more of the tight end play because I believe that will be his friend. I think Georgia will dial up the pressure, and if Georgia dials up the pressure, let him drop it off. Get some halfback screens, get more movement on the out quick passes. Just get it going. And I believe that'll be his friend.
I thought one of his best plays he made tonight was when Mississippi State brought pressure. I can't remember who he completed the pass to.
Yeah.
It was great. They brought pressure and he made the right read, made the right throw, and I think picked up a first down. Was it Kitzelman? I think it was on a third down, wasn't it? It was on a third down.
It was Kitzelman. Yeah. Look, this offensive line, when any quarterback steps up and takes that extra moment, steps into the pocket to throw over the middle, good things have happened for this offense, I would say. Look at the Nico slant to Thornton, that tough slant play to Thornton. Same thing, stepped up into the pocket real nice. Whenever I've seen any hard slant, tight end leak out, whip route, and our quarterbacks have not gotten flustered and actually stepped up into the hard pocket. I thought Moore looked good doing it tonight. Nico looked good as well. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, Nico is definitely pissed. I know people keep putting that. I can tell you right now, kid is a competitor. If he was told to sit as precautionary, I guarantee you he was pissed off when that decision came his way. And
he was
had
rolling.
some choice words. Oh yeah.
I mean, that's a game. A gamer wants to game,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
For me. Next week, regardless of if it's Gaston or if it's Nico, I think offensively there are things. Nate mentioned the fumbles, the penalties, the drop balls, the offensive line. They have been improving. But you still had some,
bonehead things.
But yeah, and it seems to come up at the most inopportune situation.
It does. I will say this though, Dauber, there was that rollout scramble by Nico early for like 15 yards, and I was like, "Where's the flag?"
Yeah.
Where's the flag? And there was none. I was shocked. I was like, "Wait, what?"
It does seem to always wipe out a big play. And then it kills momentum, and I think this is my thought. Regardless of Gaston Moore or Nico, you can't have that stuff on the road against a good Georgia team, but a Georgia team that has also been struggling. You do that, you kill a drive, you snuff out that momentum. Anything you get, you give to a good team, that's going to hurt you in the long run.
Let me do this. Somebody in the chat said earlier, Boogie, you're not doing a good enough job promoting yourself. How many people are here because we don't have enough likes? I used to get yelled at all last year for asking people to hit the thumbs up every 10 minutes. And so I quit doing it.
Smash that stuff.
I quit doing it, and now nobody hits the thumbs up. So now I got to stop the show, and I got to plug and chill and say, smash the thumbs up. We still have over 1,000 people. We got up to around 1,200. We got about 1,000 people still hanging out with us on this late night edition of Talkin VAWLS. If you're still here, hit the thumbs up. Takes 2 seconds. If you're watching on your TV, I get it. I do the same thing. I watch Good every single night on my TV, and I never hit the thumbs up. I am subscribed. I'm letting them down, but they're millionaires. I'm pretty sure they're millionaires. They're good. Pick up your phone and go to YouTube and go, boom, smash the thumbs up. It helps. We would appreciate it. Also, you can do this. You can go check out the official merchandise of the Talkin VAWLS Network. We got brand new merch that we just dropped a couple of weeks ago. State Pride 2.0, TriStar, but also the State Outline, little Talkin VAWLS Network. You can get whatever style you want. Somebody said, Boogie, we need men's tank tops. All you got is women's tank tops. Well, I don't think that's the truth because right here is a men's tank top, and I think that's what Coach Jay. Oh, he must have got cold. He either got cold or he was sick and tired, Nate, of people talking about his guns. So he put a T-shirt back on. We have
I was
tops.
mad at Will Brooks.
Oh, okay. We got tank tops for men. We got them all. You can go check it out, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. We also got the Nate Pruitt special. God bless and go Vols. I love the font. Kevin nailed it. He killed it. I love it. Beautiful shirt.
Absolutely.
Check that one out. We got rivalry shirts. We got old school wrestling shirts. Whatever you want, it is there. The link, if you forget, is in the description below. Go check out the merchandise. And again, just smash the thumbs up. It helps the channel. If you want to support even more, hit the join button. You can become a member for just $1 a month. That's it. If you're never going to use it, you're never going to come on a fan call-in show. You're never going to use the emojis, but you like the content, you like the streams, the videos, whatever it is you like about this channel, think about supporting, hitting that join button. We would appreciate it. There you go. One quick plug, 3 minutes or less, and I won't say it again. We'll try to keep it to once per stream. So let's. I appreciate that, Dauber. Wait, what did you do? I forgot.
I smashed that thumbs up.
Did you pull out your phone just now?
I did.
I appreciate that.
I held it up.
And then he's going to close it. What? He's going to close it, and then our watch time is going to disappear.
No, it's rolling. It's rolling. I muted it too. I didn't let it blare.
See, we're learning and growing together as a team, man. We're learning and growing together.
Did James Pierce make it to the locker room, or is he still being held by the Mississippi State offensive lineman on the field too? Like,
Somebody told me I was crazy for that tweet. Like,
no.
Every play he gets held.
Right, it was there was bad ones. There was where he was like being held with the O lineman completely behind him with his arms around him. I could have swore he was in a half Nelson on one play. I was like, what in the God's green earth is going on? Also, a tip of the cap for how badly he was beating him, but they got to call a couple more of those, man. There was some bad holding calls in that game, no doubt.
There's a good bit of bad
at least needs
officiating.
a dinner for that much hugging and carrying on that they're doing.
Yeah, dude.
What kills me is how bad he gets held, and then the ticky-tack holding calls that they turn around and call on Tennessee.
Oh, my Lord.
It'll drive you mad. There was one tonight, and I can't remember who it was on. Might have been on Sprague's. I can't remember. And I was like, you're really calling that holding? It was a pancake. Yeah. It's not holding. It's a pancake. Yeah. That's an offensive lineman doing what he's supposed to do. Maddening. It is maddening.
Yep. Yeah, it was very maddening.
Wayne says James is still being held in Fayetteville, not just tonight.
Yeah, that was a bad one. Both those games were really, really bad. You see, what shows you we just don't do it when we lose. Like, if it's bad like that, it's bad. And golly, it was bad on some of those scrambles to the short side of the field, certainly.
I did the rewatch on the Kentucky game and got a screenshot. I'll try to send it to y'all, and it's literally one of the guys is hugging him. It's all over. And
when you're beating someone like that, though, when you're beating someone like that, though, man, it's a good thing. It's a super good thing. Congratulations to Byron Eason on his first sack of the year. A great play too. Awesome, nasty little play there from Mr. Eason. So maybe one less Texas mile from Rodney Gardner for the defensive line there.
I was looking just now out of curiosity. 9 tackles for loss. Jason Jenkins had a sack. How about that kid, man? You talk about a guy that comes in with minimal opportunities, but he always makes the most of them. Strip sack. Eason had the sack. Omar Norman Lott. Seems like a game doesn't go by where he doesn't get one.
The moment though that Jenkins did that in.
Yeah, pivotal.
Gaston Moore comes out.
Yep.
We get nothing. Nico's gone. All of a sudden, it's an oh crap moment. Everyone in the stadium. Nealon's gone a little quiet. Their offense comes out. Good field position, moving the ball. Jenkins completely flips the momentum on its face. What a huge moment for a kid that was getting ready to transfer. And you know, what a message to young men who want to take the easy way out instead of putting the hard work in. And tip of the cap to Mr. Jenkins for fighting down with a absolutely loaded defensive line unit and defensive end unit and finding a way to affect the field in this team. I'll tell you what, I bet Rodney Gardner, proud as can be of that young man.
He's going to be a monster next year, man. Absolute monster. And it also speaks volumes that, you know, wasn't the whole thing was that Coach G wanted to redshirt him and he wanted to play. And then Coach G talked him into coming back, and now you can't keep him off the field. Like, he's still getting his run because he's that good of a dang player. Like, yeah, this defense, I know they're good this year. They may be better next year. They may truly be better.
I believe that. I said that the other day. Me and Coach Rice were talking about it. He kind of agreed with me too. He does think there's some rotational holes that need fixed on the defensive line to do so, but the secondary and the linebacker units will be better next year, in my opinion.
But look at Joshua Josephs. Like, he's a guy that it was like he was supposed to be the dude. But now he's seeing that what James Pierce did. It's like a Jalen Hyatt moment. Oh, this is what I've got to do. So now he's putting that work in, and you're seeing him have a great season this year too. And then we didn't even have Tyree West tonight. I think what is he, a junior? Was he got one more year? I think he's got one more year.
Yeah, I think so.
The interior, I think, is what Coach Rice may have been alluding to.
Yeah.
But man, I still think they've got plenty of depth. Go ahead, Dauber. I cut you off.
I was just going to say, I wouldn't put it past this coaching staff to, maybe look towards the portal to fill some of those rotational issues. That's the thing I can't say enough about this staff. The guys that they're in on, the guys that they bring in, they're recruiting. It just seems like they are, they're batting well over 300 with their success rate for what they're bringing in, and that's hard to do in this day and age. The whole landscape of college football has changed with the transfer portal, with NIL, and that is something that I think you can't say enough positive about how Coach Heupel and staff they've approached this. That they've not let NIL become a problem in the locker room, minus a possible trip to Columbia, South Carolina, and some stuff that went on down there. But the amount of research they do, and these kids that they're in early on, that aren't getting much run or look from other schools. Hats off to what they're bringing in. Hats off to the development. And like we talked about these young guys, these flashes that we're seeing, especially on the defensive side of the ball, man, it is super exciting. And I said it a couple weeks ago, everybody's trying to run D coordinator Tim Banks, trying to run him out of town. And what's he do? He keeps getting better year to year to year. And I'm honestly not going to be surprised if he gets his shot to be a head coach. If not this year, I think next year.
I think it's coming. And I don't understand this. Like, right as you say that, we get this in the chat saying, do we think we'll be better if Banks leaves? Like, do you understand where this defense is at? They are 5th in the country. They are 5th in the country in scoring defense. They're 4th in the country in total defense. They've not given up 20 points through 9 games now. Like, I know I made a video on this earlier this week. There are only 4 teams in the history of college football to make it this deep into a season without giving up 20 points, and they all won national championships. Why in the world would you run a defensive coordinator out of town that's putting up that type of stuff? Like, I've been on the Tim Banks bandwagon since day one. I think he's a great coach. I think when he coaches aggressively, his defense is better. But then sometimes he has a game plan, and I guess he gets on the horn and he calls Coach Jay and he says, oh, by the way, we're going to play a little soft this week, and they're going to pick up some yards. And, the boys are going to panic, but I just want you to let them know on the game day breakdown that everything's going to be fine. We're still going to win. And then Coach Jay gets on and goes, don't get upset when they gain yards between the 20s, boys. And nobody listens. I think me and Coach Jay and Coach Rice are the only 3 people on the planet that watch those videos. I watch it 2,000 times to try to get the views up. But it works. We gave up 14 points, and we won. We won.
Coach Jay, let me ask you a question. As our resident defensive guru at the Talkin VAWLS Network.
What you got?
Oh.
So do you think that playing fast and furious and gambling that Tim Banks' defense had to do in the first couple of years early on was due to the situation he inherited and the staff and roster that he had, and he's been able to get guys in and develop depth now, in year 4 of Heupel, and that has helped the process.
I think when Tim Banks took over this defense, he had a chessboard full of pawns, 1 bishop, 1 rook, 1 king. And he played chess accordingly.
And that king is in check, but not quite checkmate.
Yeah, and I think he's got his rooks, his bishops. I think he's got a full chessboard finally. It could be a little deeper. We'll see. But once again, this secondary is going to get better. These linebacking core is going to be better. Yeah, we probably got to go the portal a little. You go through this defensive line who's coming back. Josephs, West, Jenkins, Moy, Jordan Ross, David Hobbs, Caleb Herring, Tyrese Weatherby, Nate Robinson, Lindstrom, Carson Gentle, Emmanuel Okoye.
Carson Gentle is practicing his tail off. Like, I know we don't talk about players that aren't playing in games. He's a dude that everybody's buzzing about in practice.
But it's so funny.
Yeah.
You just rattled off that list of names
that's coming back.
It's all. You're like, oh, that's a dude.
And who was it the first year? The first year was like who? Tyler.
Well, we had a
Barron
long snapper. We had a long snapper playing linebacker.
So,
wait,
yeah.
Who was that? Will Albright? Who was
it? I think so.
He followed me on Instagram, and I was like, I don't accept like outside follows. Like, my Instagram's private because it's got pictures of my wife and kids, and it's like personal. I was like, Will Albright follows me. I'm accepting that.
Hell yeah.
Let's get Will Albright on here because I talked about him a lot back during that season. Let me catch up with you guys in the chat. Timothy for 5 says Nico is going to be a great quarterback, but he missed the open man that Moore hit. Nico threw it in the three-man coverage still tonight. Like, Nico was 8 of 13 for 174 yards and 2 touchdowns. He missed some throws.
What player are you talking about?
I don't know I don't think he threw into triple coverage.
He certainly missed a throw or two, no doubt about it. Every quarterback does in every game ever. I don't think I've ever heard of a performance where a quarterback thrown over 10 balls, and you know what I mean.
It's when it happens over and over and over. Like I said earlier in the post-game show, like the Mr. Brew.
I know what play.
I didn't even bat an eye on the Mr. Brew. I was like, all right, let's snap and clear. That's what they say.
There was some. I was just going to say there were some really pretty balls by Nico in that game, and there were not some pretty ones like many quarterbacks.
Seth for 5 says came away with a dub. Time to clean up some things on defense and get ready for Georgia. GBO. Carl for 2 says Selden redshirt is him, not fully healthy, not transfer. I hope you're right, because all I'm doing is throwing crap at the wall, Carl. I'm not. I'm just trying to. I'm just trying to figure out why he went from returning kicks and getting some run to he hit 4 games and it shut off. So it could be. I hope it is. I want Cam Selden to say. Go ahead, Nate.
I don't know if anybody saw it. You might be able to see it when you go back and watch the rewatch. There was the second run, I believe, that Selden had. He showed why he was a backup to the backup. No offense, I'm not trying to slam him or nothing, but you had a wide open hole going straight to the left, wide open gap, and he ran straight into his blocks. He never hit the hole. He didn't have the vision. He didn't see it.
But you also got to remember that he played a lot of wide receiver in high school, and he was recruited as an athlete that they wanted to move to running back. So maybe it's going to take him a little bit more time to adjust to the position. And that's why I hope he does stay with Tennessee, because I think the kid's got all the athleticism and talent in the world.
Absolutely.
So I hope he sticks it out. Tom for 5, do y'all remember Dickey taking care of Testaverde after Tony went down? Hopefully not the same scenario. Just saying there is precedent. Logan Brooks for 2 says Moore is the PI drawing king. GPO, that he is. Throw it up and hope for a flag. John London for 10. I think Nico has pulled his protection for next week. We had the game in hand and don't risk the rest of the season. Griff for 5 says, I don't know if y'all saw. Hype confirmed it was 100% precaution. Nico will be ready for the dogs. Go Vols, baby. Timothy for 5. Question what happened to going over the line with your running backs like Travis Henry and Stevens did in 98? All right, somebody. Coach J has to get this because I just said it in a stream that we were on together. When you think of running backs going over the top, Dauber, who's the first guy that comes to your mind?
Travis Henry.
Nate?
Man, mine was always Kamara. I liked him, and that was mine.
Coach J, you better say it. I'm going to be pissed at you.
Going over the top? No, you're going to be pissed because I can't remember. James Stewart.
Yes, thank you. Somebody knows what we're talking about.
I love Little Man Stewart. My mind goes to Jamal Lewis too, and then I'm like, wait, no, he didn't jump over piles.
No, he ran over people.
He ran
James
over
Little
people
Man
for
Stewart.
funsies.
Everybody's putting Stewart in the chat. I'm glad y'all.
Yeah, I got it.
I appreciate that. Maybe Coach J didn't just completely tune me out. I think it was just Friday morning that came up when we were talking about it. I don't remember. Dude, it's just little man always over the top. That 33 jersey with his belly hanging out. Loved it. Charles Ledbetter becomes a member of the channel. Thank you, Charles. We appreciate that. Sean Cross for 2 says, unless a collarbone, Nico is playing. Good job, men. Sword the Demon for 20 says, never have I heard of the no pulling rule. Anyone know why that's a rule? GBO. It is a rule, and we broke the rule. They just never call it. I was just stunned that they actually called it in that situation.
Even the announcer said it.
Yeah. I was like,
I believe it became a rule after the famous what was the USC versus Notre Dame game to get the national championship where they like pulled Matt Leinart into the end zone. Yeah. And they if they would have lost that game like they should have, then USC wouldn't have won the national championship that year. Interesting stuff.
Any other comments, Dauber? Let's start with Dauber. Anything else from this game? Any other takeaways you want to get into before we call it a night here on Late Night Talking Vols?
No, it's splitting hairs to complain about 8-1. You and I know, Boogie. We got spoiled, and 9 wins was kind of guaranteed growing up. And then we went through a spell where, we would have, maybe given a kidney or something to get 9 wins. And what Coach Heupel has done in his time and the turnaround that he's driven this program to, it's impressive. Got a lot to build on through these 9 games. A lot to still play for. I said it earlier in my opening thoughts. It was a game that they had to grind out. Mississippi State cut it to should have been a 1-possession game late second half. And you with your backup quarterback. And your defense, they kind of step up, and you rattle off the second half drive chart for Mississippi State, and defense just they said, all right, we got this, and Moore came in and was serviceable and did enough to extend that lead and ice out the game. This team. It doesn't have to put up video game numbers anymore. And I think that's part of the problem. You look back a couple of years ago and you look back to the first couple of games of the season and you're, averaging, what was it, dang near 60 points through 3 games. And people are like, we only won by a couple scores tonight. But you're talking – this is an SEC victory, and you go back not too far in the past, and SEC victories were not to be found, and that was a dark time in Tennessee football. So to look at where we are right now, it's splitting hairs to look at this game tonight and not be happy. There are things that we need to improve, because there are goals that are attainable and within reach, but we have to play better. So that's moving forward. And I know this coaching staff, and I know, D-Sam, look at him particularly. He is probably as mad as anybody about dropping the ball. And he puts that on himself. You look back to Nico in Fayetteville, and he puts some of those missed throws, some of the bad reads, forcing the ball. He puts that on him. That's what these guys are bought in, and it hurts them to lose. It hurts them to not find success on the plays when their number's called. So I said it early on, and I've said it often. I think there's something different about this team, and the fact that they have found ways to win games when the offense isn't clicking, when things aren't going right. when they do have those mistakes and penalties and miscues, that is what you can, if you can find the silver lining in something, that they're finding ways to grind it out and get the W. So moving forward, going on the road to Athens, it's a tall task. And you know, it sounds like Nico is going to be available. We hope he's available, but even if it's Gaston Moore, this team has a shot. And that's something that in the last, you know, few years, how many games have we gone into and thought, you know, not just a Georgia game. I mean, we've gone into games against whoever and been like, you know, I don't really know. So to go into the game positive and with momentum, and the opportunity to beat Florida, Georgia, and Alabama in the same season, you got to enjoy it, savor it.
I said it in 2022. I faked it in 2023. I said, y'all just hang tight. We'll have some success in 2024. Y'all just chill for a year. You can say whatever you want. But it's like, man, like everything Dauber said, don't take it for granted, because I took it for granted. Man, I would not watch a game as a teenager because it's like, well, I know Tennessee's going to win. Now it's like I want to watch every win, and I want to soak every win in, and I want to enjoy it. And I there's nothing wrong with criticism and concern. Like we criticize the Kent State blowout. That's what we do. We talk about the game. We talk about the positives. We talk about the negatives. We talk about things that Tennessee needs to clean up and get better at. But it almost makes me laugh. And you can talk about strength of schedule. You can talk about opponents. You know, the same opponents that people told me that we were going to lose to. Now they're just inferior opponents. Everybody's complaining about an offense that's 12th in the country in scoring offense. 12th in the country in scoring offense. You got a problem with that? We're 8-1. We're 12th in the country in scoring offense. We're top 5 in scoring defense. And I get it. You can formulate any type of narrative with stats. What do you base a game on? Who scores more points? And we're in the top 15 in both scoring offense and scoring defense. Let me hit a couple of super chats real quick. Sean Cross for 2. What's the maximum for Tim Banks to keep him? I don't think Tim Banks is leaving over money. It's just I think he wants to be a head coach. He's waiting for the right fit. Yeah, he could have gone. He could have gone to MTSU. He didn't want to go to MTSU, so he's waiting for the right opportunity. Coach Rice for 2 says Gilbert getting his confidence back is massive. Coach Jay said it before, you know, in the tailgate show that he wanted to see him knock through a couple of field goals. And you know, so many times we talk about in big games like the middle 8. And how important it is. And what was so funny was the middle 8 is you got a field goal, and it's like, all right, we got a field goal there. That's at least points. We're going to get the ball back to start the second half. Maybe we can turn that 3 into 10. But then here comes this defense. They step up. They get a 3 and out. Tennessee gets the ball back. And what do? They go get another field goal. Max Gilbert was 1 for his last 6. He was over 3 last week. This week, 4 for 4. 24, 38, 51,
career
38.
Long.
Career long for 51. You'll love it. Love it.
When Peyton Lewis got stuffed on the 1 yard line on 4th and goal, I was so pissed that we didn't kick a field goal. Not because I didn't think it was the right thing to do to try to get a touchdown that close. I wanted Gilbert to get confidence back because I was worried, what if we blow this team out and he doesn't get any dang field goals, and all of a sudden we're going to a tough Georgia environment, and the week before is still on his mind. No one would have wanted that. I was screaming up and down my house for them to kick the field goal for that one reason alone.
We got another super chat here from Michelle. She drops a 20 spot. Doesn't say anything. So because she didn't say anything, we'll play the clip.
Rocky Top!
Shout out Michelle. She changed her profile picture. What did that used to be? Did it just used to be a letter?
Yeah, I think so. Not puppies though. Not puppies.
Look at those.
Did you get some puppies? You get some. Puppies.
Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Nate, it's getting late. I just said who's a good boy live on air. Talking Balls Live post game show.
I almost answered you, so I didn't know what to do. I had to stop.
Just raise your coffee mug and cover your face. You're good to go. Give us your final thoughts, Nate. Anything you want to talk about? DSAMP, defense, anything on the way out the door here?
I think we're going to need DeSamp perfectly healthy, and I think we're going to need Lewis perfectly healthy. There is a chance for the first time in a game, I believe it's first time, maybe on purpose, that we have a dual threat, both in the running back game and in the QB room. It could be scheme, it could be game plan to have Nico and Gaston ready for Georgia. And man, if we go in and we do what Tennessee does, there's no doubt in my mind, even though it's at Georgia, even though it's going to be in a hostile environment, even though it's all those things, there's no doubt in my mind that we can't go and we can't take care of business. And I believe that we're going to, but we just have to fire off at all cylinders. We can't have the mental mistakes. I would like to see our linemen do good. They've been doing better every time. I'd like to see a little bit faster feet from our linemen, a little bit quicker hands. I'd like to see that's just nitpicking, but there's a lot of slow stutter steps that I saw, and I'd like to see them get better. I'd like to see them improve, and that's only practice and time will do. But when we go into Athens, I'm not brave enough yet to have any kind of like a score prediction that we're going to have, but I do believe that it's going to be closer to what we had, maybe not as high in points, but what we did with Alabama. And the game is going to go to who scores last. And I think it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough environment, but we're going to come out with the W. And as long as we play to the ability that Tennessee can play.
I hope you're right. I am so terrified of that game. I'm terrified of it. I'm terrified of it because it's on the road. Like where'd Coach Rice's comment go? There it is. With Nico 27-13 with more 24-0 Georgia. I think that's insanity. I'm nervous either way. I am nervous either way. Like, and it's not because Georgia's so good. It's because I'm scared of Heupel on the road. I just am. I'm scared. I'm scared of Heupel on the road.
I agree.
So good in Neyland Stadium. Hold on. I had it pulled up here. He improved to 24-4 in Neyland Stadium through 4 years.
Elite.
And they have won 19 of the last 20 games in Neyland Stadium. That's ridiculous. Go ahead, Dauber.
Yeah, I was just going to say that is why early on I was leaning a loss at Oklahoma. That combined with all the outside.
Yeah, it makes sense.
You know, I was leaning more loss on the road at Oklahoma, win at home against Bama. And that's strictly because it was a road game, strictly because the narrative of Heupel on the road, the narrative of Nico's first, start on the road, conference game, hostile environment. But we've seen Oklahoma's not very good. That's played itself out. It's a different story with Georgia. And like I said earlier, it's one of those things. What Georgia team shows up? Are they angry at what happened today, or are they broken? Was that the final straw on a team that had such high expectations, trying for a three-peat, back to back to back, and all that, and it's just two losses and they're done for. Are they going to show up? I tell you what, we're going to have to show up regardless of whichever team we face. And this whole, I think Boogie said it. We finally got past that, not scoring early, and got the ball, punched it in the end zone first quarter. You're gonna have to score, and everything we talked about Gilbert tonight, getting his confidence back, I think is huge, because like Nate said, I think this is going to be a tight game, and I'm not ready to give a score prediction either, because
it ain't Wednesday. That's why, Dauber. That's why you're not giving a score prediction. It's not Wednesday. I got to stop arguing with Coach Rice. He's like, how can you not see it's insanity? How do I not think it's insanity that you said we're going to go down and score 0 points against Georgia? Like, that's why I think you're insane, Coach Rice.
I was starting to type back in the chat. I was trying to egg him on, Boogie. I was like, get in here tomorrow. Get in here tomorrow. Get in here tomorrow night, Coach Rice. Give him hell.
We were talking. Look, all right, we're off the rails. It's already Sunday. We were talking the other day, and my poor wife's like, she's like, looks at all the people that have stabbed me in the back, and she's like, Dauber's never gonna do it ever. She's like, he had an opportunity when somebody did what they were gonna do, and he was like, I'm riding with Boogie. You're an idiot. And it's like, she's like, Dauber's never gonna turn his back on you. You and Dauber are gonna do Talkin VAWLS till y'all are 90 or dead or whatever happens. And she was like, but I'm starting to buy into Coach Jay. And he says, it's all because something that Mrs. J said when y'all were in town. She was like, y'all, it's a bromance. Like, they have a bromance. But it's not a bromance because you do nothing but troll me and egg me on. You're like,
yeah.
Oh, Boogie, did you see what this person said or that person? All you try to do is get me off the rails. And now you're trying to get me and Coach Rice to have a feud.
Yes.
Because you were asking him who's a good boy earlier.
Stir in that pot.
He does. It's a Tuesday night. I'm playing video games, having fun. He's like, hey, Boogie, look at what I saw. Really? $2 super chat from Timothy McGee. That's why I asked at the one. Jump over the line. Little man Stewart over the top. Coach Jay, tie a big fat bow on this thing. Final thoughts on the game.
We won. That's my final thoughts, man. We got through on a night where we had some really scary injuries happen on that field, whether it be Sprague, whether it be DeSamp, whether it be Nico. We don't know what tomorrow will bring, but we know that we got through this one. We know that we have a really dang good record. Might be ranked in the top 5 when the new ranking comes out. We'll see what happens. Everything's still right in front of us. If Coach Heupel is to be believed, and God knows if he is, then Nico's okay, and he'll be ready to play. And Coach Rice doesn't have to go insane watching us score no points. So that will be good. And I don't want to get too much into next week, but I will say this. Offense a little hard to predict with everything going on, but if I'm that defense, man, I think they have an opportunity to go out there and win this game. I think they have the opportunity against a Georgia offense that's struggling to not give them an inch and to take from them everything. And I hope they prepare that way. I hope they play with their hair on fire in a week. It's going to be fun to see, but for now, let's enjoy this one the rest of this night or the rest of this day. I still got 3 more hours, you guys. I guess
we're about to go to bed, Coach Jay. I don't know
start worrying about Georgia. I'm going to eat some cheeseburgers. So.
I got to go to bed and get up in about 6 hours and make the day after video. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We got a super chat. Hold on. Let me get this real quick. Nicholas for 5 says, I'm late, but I think it's safe to say that this is our identity on offense this year. Defense looks strong. And we got a dub. The only way I would disagree with that, Nicholas, is because Nico went down. Because I think Nico has been cooking, like Coach Jay said, for the last 8 quarters. 2 quarters against Alabama, 4 quarters against Kentucky, 2 quarters against Mississippi State tonight, and then he goes down hurt. Go ahead, Coach Jay. Finish off your thoughts there.
No, you kind of nailed them, to be honest with you. I was just going to talk about the momentum that I think Nico did have, and I think he can, if he is healthy, and it was precautionary, and he is really pissed, let's hope him and the defense both channel that in a positive way. I guess is what I was going to
I think
up more eloquently.
I think he's definitely hitting his stride. I think there's a newfound kind of confidence. The thing that I would like to see is a little bit more tone down the trying to force making a play and live to go to the next down. If you have to punt it, let your defense do their work because they've done their work all year. And
Yeah.
I think that comes with maturity. You know, we
Yeah, quicker to the check down as he gets older, for sure.
we talked a couple weeks ago about even playing that elite level high school football in California, taking that step up to the SEC. There's a difference, and
Huge.
it's just
Huge.
It's something he's got to learn and grow into. But guys, I said it earlier, splitting hairs. This team is 8-1.
I should have just played the intro. As soon as he said this team's 8-1, I should have been played the outro. Charlie Price becomes a member of the channel. Shout out, Charlie. We appreciate you. Shout out to Russell. I just got an email. Russell picked up 2 shirts, picked up Vols by Fitty, and also picked up the Knoxville, Tennessee shirt. So shout out, Russell. We appreciate it. Charlie says, first dollar I've ever spent on YouTube. Worth it. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. I say it all the time, but I'm going to keep on saying it. $1. It's $1. If you got $1 to spare, if that means you don't get a pack of, can you even get like juicy fruit gum? I bet it's probably like $2
little small packs. The small little 5 gum packs, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably like $2.99 now. If you got $1 to spare, and you like what we do around here, that membership, there's strength in numbers, and the more members we get, the more opportunity it gives us to continue to pump out content. So we appreciate every single member that joins this channel. Let's wrap this thing up for Dauber.
30K.
We what?
Drive to 30K.
What is he talking about? What?
The push to 30K.
Oh, we're 1.5 away from 30K, or I don't know what the real number is.
I don't know if we can get there.
I just work here.
I bet though.
Before the end of the season.
I bet SEC championship and a college football playoff appearance. I bet we can get to 30,000.
Let's go.
That would do it.
I bet we can get to 30,000. Tell somebody, let them know, share out the links. Every time you see a video, a live stream, retweet it. And you're like, Boogie, I got 2 followers. I don't care. It's all about algorithm and numbers. Every retweet, every like, every share helps the channel. We appreciate it. Let's get to 30K. Why not? Why not us? Why not now? Tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning. You think we can do it? Do you think we can do it? Do you think we keep talking, they'll just stay with us, or do you think they'll slowly drop off?
We can do it. We'll get it done. We're not getting married during football. Sorry. Sorry. Late night talking Vols. Should I say that? Sorry.
Those are text messages, bro. Are you drinking Heineken?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Somebody clip that.
Ignore me.
Somebody clip that. We better get out of here before he says something.
All right, let's go.
Tomorrow morning, day after video, coming probably around 9 o'clock in the morning. Be looking for that. We'll sleep on it. We'll get the emotions out, and we'll talk about this football game. Fan call-in show tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Monday morning, Eric Kane of Locked On Vols and VolQuest.com will be here at 9 a.m., even though some people think that if he gets more thumbs up or he gets more subscribers, he'll kick me to the curb, and he'll bring people on that got married last week. Maybe he'll bring them onto the channel. Also, Tuesday night, we play video games. It's a blast. We have a good time. Wednesday night, Talkin VAWLS Live. We'll make our official predictions for the Tennessee-Georgia game. For Dauber, for good old Nate Pruitt, for Coach Jay, my name's Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.
That we call